And Debra Jackson. Debra is running for county clerk.
Yes.
And she has just some absolutely stellar qualifications.
Thank you for that. Thank you, everybody. I hope you had a chance to mingle with each other and get some goodies while I was still driving here. So I'm sorry I'm late, but I hope you enjoyed yourselves. All right, so I'll tell you a little bit about myself, then I'll tell you why I'm running, and then I'll talk about my action plan. So I have 31 years in law enforcement. 10 of those were as support staff. I learned some things during those 10 years I believe that I can apply to this job. One of the things I did was I was the campaign finance chief for the campaign against marijuana planning in California for the Department of Justice. And I managed a multi-million-dollar budget. And so I can translate that, some of that, into managing the budget here for the county. During that period of time, I worked a number of jobs that helped me along my way of developing skills that I had no idea that accumulation over the years would later on lead me to a point where I'm running for this office, and I look back and I see God's hand on me in guiding me through my path, through my career, to a point in time where I am now, where I can utilize those skills. Like I said, I worked for the Department of Justice for 10 years as a staff support, and then I went to the Sacramento Police Department where I was a police officer and a detective, and worked a variety of assignments there as a police officer and a detective. From there, I went back to the California Department of Justice as a special agent, a sworn peace officer. I worked sexual predator apprehension, major crimes, multi-jurisdictional crimes, and worked some habeas cases for the Deputy Attorney General. So I know how to read and interpret law and apply it and enforce it. Let's see, after that I went to the Inspector General's office. I actually was recruited to go over there by two of the attorneys I worked with at the Department of Justice. They asked me to come over. They were starting a Bureau of Investigations, and so I went over and helped them form that unit. And I spent 3 years writing departmental policy. So policy is important. I'm finding that lacking at the Boise County Clerk's office. Did I say that nicely? You're laughing. Let me just say there's room for improvement. And so I see that there is a need. Now, I came here, I am one of those California refugees, a conservative. When I retired, I got involved in politics. Couldn't be involved in politics before that. I retired, I became involved with the Placer Tea Party, became the chairman of the Tea Party for 4 years, and led the group. We did a lot of working the telephones for conservative candidates. We did what we called the walkers and the stalkers. We had the people that were too old to walk drive us, so they were the stalkers. And those of us that could walk, we went and hung literature and knocked on doors for conservative candidates, tried to get them elected. This is all in California. Tried to get them elected, so we did that. I served on our Republican Central Committee in Placer County, and mind you, Placer County still is the last conservative county in California. And we worked hard to keep it that way. And so I got involved with the Republican Central Committee, ran for chairman, lost by one vote, which it was all God's hand over it, because had I won, I'd still be here right now. And I am thankful that God opens doors and closes doors for a reason, and we have to just be aware of that and keep our eyes open as to what the reason is. And I'm so grateful because I'm here now. I've been here 4 years. Came here to retire thinking I found a red state, and I am so happy I'm out of communist California, and I'm going to live my life in peace. I got 3.5 acres up by Roby Creek, and now mind you, I moved from a little postage stamp type of, was like 60 by 120 was my property lot with a little 1,662 square foot house. I could touch my fence and touch my house, just stretching out my arms, and that was it, right? And I thought, I can't do this anymore. I could work the rest of my life trying to change the politics in California, and it's not going to make any difference, and so I might as well cut my loss and leave. Now, mind you, I moved when I was 65 years old. All my friends, all my family, all my support system, all the people that I had been working with in volunteer capacity at the Tea Party and with the Republican Central Committee, left them all. And I said, y'all ought to get out of California too as quick as you can. So I was busy for a couple of years trying to figure out how do I manage this property and agricultural irrigation, and it was like a little bit of bandwidth overload for me. And so anyway, I got that all dialed, and then I thought, I'm going to start checking out what they're doing at the school board here. And I started going to Basin School District School Board. Oh boy, howdy. So I started learning a little bit about the small town politics that were going on, and then I started going to the commissioners' meetings. And one thing I skipped over, I should have told you this, and this was a motivating factor, not the single one, for me getting to put my name on the ballot to run for county clerk. I worked at the county clerk's office for 3 months during the 2020 presidential election, and my job there was to process ballots. Remember, that was when we had COVID, the COVID scare, and a lot of people elected to vote by absentee ballot rather than show up in person to vote. So I processed all of those ballots, and I'm comparing signatures on the computer to the signatures that are on the envelopes and comparing to see if they match. I never had any training in doing it by the county, which they should have done. I didn't feel that I needed it because I worked false impersonations at the police department, and I had training on signature comparisons, so I in my heart felt I'm okay to do this. I'm qualified. But what I stumbled upon was the signatures that you would see on the computer screen in many cases could not be visible. They weren't readable. They were about, imagine a postage stamp. Now cut it in thirds from the bottom up, a third and a third. What I was seeing on the computer screen was an entire document reduced down to the size of a third of a postage stamp. And I couldn't see the signature to compare it. So I called over the elections deputy clerk and the clerk, Mary Prisco, and I said, I've got a problem with this. I can't see a signature to compare. What do you want me to do? And they told me, mark it as matched. Huh? I had a problem with that because my electronic signature was attached to each file of the voter that said Debra Jackson approved the signature as matched. So I told them, are you ordering me to do that? And they said yes. So I'm an employee in the big scheme of things, temporary, part-time, I'm a nothing. I'm doing what I'm told. I did what I was told, but I told them, when my job is done here, I'm writing a letter. And I did. I wrote a letter describing what happened, sent it to our 2 U.S. Senators, Crapo and Reich, because remember it was a federal election, to Fulcher, and I sent it to Speaker Bedke here in Idaho. So I got 0 response from any of them. But I felt like I did what I said I was going to do, and I did my part, and that was it. Well, I'm persona non grata right now with the clerk's office, and even more so since I threw my hat in the ring. On March 11th, the final filing date, I looked online to see who all was running against the incumbents. Nobody. Nobody was running for clerk, for coroner, for assessor, or for treasurer. I figured I've seen enough in my life, I don't want to be the coroner. I don't know anything about taxes, and everybody hates the tax man. I'm not going to be the treasurer. I certainly am out of my field as an assessor, but I can do the clerk job. I worked election integrity as a volunteer in California. I was their volunteer liaison for the election and redistricting committee at the state capitol. I helped train poll observers back there. I worked with the registrar of voters. That's what they called them there. They didn't call them county clerk. You were the ROV. And so I worked with the ROV in Placer County and in Sacramento County. And so I got a lot of experience in doing that. Now, mind you, California election laws are different than Idaho election laws. And amazingly, in some regards, California has some better laws that we can use over here. I'm hoping Dorothy Moon gets in as our Secretary of State, because Dorothy Moon will affect change, and we need change here in our election code. We need a lot of change. We just got a really muddy new directive from Lawrence Denny regarding signature verifications, regarding poll watchers and poll challengers that, in my opinion, only muddied the waters. It wasn't as clarifying as it could have been and should have been. So I'm running because I feel that there is a need in Boise County that I can fill. I do have an action plan. It's the acronym ACTION, and it starts with accountability. The clerk is accountable to the public for not only the budget and recordings and auditing, but also over elections. Customer service can be greatly improved in that county office. I've had people tell me they've gone down there, and you guys know how long it is to drive to get there, whether you go, what do you call it, the front way or the back way? I went, Alder Creek, which I wish I would have done that tonight. That's the front way. Oh my gosh. I went all the way around, which caused me 45 minutes longer than I went.
No, she went
55 all the way around. Oh my gosh. That's why I was late, sorry. It was scenic. Yeah, so anyway, you know how long it takes to get there. To have somebody tell you, sorry, the person that does that job isn't here today, you'll have to come back tomorrow or the next day, okay? That's unacceptable. Transparency is another component. That office needs to be transparent, and guess what? You should encourage citizen poll observers and poll watchers. There should be transparency not only in the finances, but in how you run your elections. We've got a real problem. Then we have integrity. We've got to have integrity in these areas. Oversight. There's a lacking in oversight. And now, the action plan must take place now. I'm asking you to vote for me, Debra Jackson, for Boise County Clerk on May 17th. And we need to replace the clerk. She's been there 12 years. She's gotten comfortable. The staff has gotten comfortable with her. And they're working for themselves. They're not working for you. It's time for a change. I believe Boise County deserves better. Thank you.
Thank you.